Sure. So let's go back to that cloud to ground first off, and then I'll talk about a couple of those others you mentioned as well. So cloud to ground, if it's hitting the ground, right? It's not actually hitting the house, it's hitting the ground. Could that come into the house? Could that be a surge? And the way that could happen and does happen occasionally um, is you have like an on-site lightning strike or even a tree strike on the property near the home. Guess what? That electrical energy, again, you hear the statistics out there like a lightning strike could be up to 1 billion volts of energy. Certainly, they're not all that big. They don't have to be that big. It's over 240 volts. Things in our homes can get damaged. But that energy now is in the ground around the home. Guess what else is in the ground around our homes? We have metal pipes coming in, bringing water. We have cable TV wires bringing in our cable TV or our internet. We might have an old phone line coming in. Not as many as those, but there could be, or even underground electrical lines. Um, some real popular ones now in a lot of areas are underground dog fences around the yard and wires going out to irrigation control systems. Right? We have all these things in our yards underground. Electrical energy from a direct strike can be picked up by those and then come into the house, right? So that's an on-site strike, cloud to ground lightning that causes that surge of electricity to come in our homes and cause issues. But then we have just the electrical grid itself, right? And we could just call it the grid. That's your electrical utility company that is providing the electricity to the home, right? There's a lot of things with the grid that can cause issues, right? We have this thing out there called grid switching. Think about in your neighborhood or your town. Have you ever driven by like it looks like a small power plant? It's really a substation for the grid. At depending where you are and how your grid is set up in your area, they may have electricity coming from one place, one power plant, one area, and going to different places. And different parts of the day, they may have to switch it because there's different usage amounts are needed. Um, and so they switch where the power goes. That's called grid switching. That can cause a surge event within the grid that can end up back in our homes and cause damage, right? One that is more common with the grid is when the grid actually shuts down, right? They shut it down for whatever reason. That could be an issue. It could be part of grid switching. It could be a catastrophic event within the grid, things like that. And then when the power comes back on, it surges and it has this flood of high voltages that can come back into our homes, right? So the old it's not a wives' tale, but you call it a wives' tale. The old adage, when the power's out, you should turn off your breakers or unplug your expensive electronics and things like that. That's actually true, right? Because you might have a surge from the grid come back into your home, right? So that's the grid issues. Now here's something more what I'd call close to home, right? Items within your home can cause surges, believe it or not. You have things like HVAC compressors. You have the compressors in your refrigerators. You might have a wood shop out in your garage, and every time you turn that table saw on and off and things like that, they can create mini surges within your home and cause damage to other things on those circuits, especially in older homes that where the circuits aren't set up perfectly, or a home where someone has done a lot of DIY electrical and they're just tapping in here and there and everywhere else. So items within your home can also cause surges. So I know for adjusters, one of the tricky parts is they want to know what caused the surge. That is extremely difficult. Most people, even electricians, even engineers, things like that, if a surge comes and damages it, it's very, very difficult to say, was that from here? Was that from there? Was that from this piece of equipment and things like that? So we can identify it's a surge. You just can't always identify where that surge came from. But we just went through a lot of the reasons it could have happened.